The Awakening of Elowen. In the heart of an ancient forest, where sunlight barely penetrated the dense canopy, a being lived unlike any other. Elowen, they called her, though she had long forgotten the sound of her name. She had stood rooted to the spot for centuries, her body gradually transforming into a twisted, gnarled tree. Her once flowing hair had become a tangle of branches, reaching skyward in a desperate plea for light. Elowen had only sometimes been this way. Once, she had been a vibrant spirit of the forest, dancing among the trees and communing with all creatures. But a curse, born of jealousy and malice, had slowly turned her to wood, trapping her consciousness within a prison of bark and sap. Elowen's memories of her former life faded like mist in the morning sun as the years passed. She forgot the feel of soft moss beneath her feet, the sound of birdsong in her ears, the taste of wild berries on her tongue. Her world shrank to the small patch of earth where she stood, and her awareness dulled to little more than the slow passage of seasons. But deep within the wooden chambers of her heart, a tiny spark of her original essence remained. And on this day, as the forest around her stirred with an unusual energy, that spark flickered to life. It began with a change in the air. The forest's usual cool dampness was replaced by a dry warmth that seemed to crackle with possibility. Then came a sound, faint at first but growing stronger. It was a sound Elowen had not heard in centuries, the rhythmic chanting of human voices. Elowen felt something stir within her wooden form as the chanting grew louder. It was as if the sap in her veins had begun to flow faster, carrying long-dormant memories and sensations. She became aware of her surroundings in a way she hadn't been for eons, the feel of the earth beneath her roots, the gentle sway of her branches in the breeze. The chanting reached a crescendo, and suddenly, the forest around Elowen erupted in a blaze of golden light. It was as if the sun had descended to the forest floor, bathing everything in its warm glow. The light penetrated Elowen's wooden skin, seeping into every crack and crevice, illuminating her from within. And then, the miracle of miracles, Elowen felt movement. It began as a tingling in her roots, spreading upward through her trunk and branches. Slowly, painfully, her wooden limbs started to soften and bend. The bark that had encased her for so long began to crack and fall away, revealing soft, pale skin underneath. As the transformation continued, Elowen's senses awakened one by one. She heard the rustle of leaves and birds chirping with startling clarity. She smelled the rich, earthy scent of the forest floor and the sweet fragrance of nearby flowers. And when she opened her eyes that had been nothing more than knots in the wood for centuries, she saw the world in all its vibrant, colorful glory. The golden light faded, and Elowen found herself standing on wobbly legs, no longer rooted to the spot. Her body was human once more, though her hair remained a wild tangle of branch-like strands, a reminder of her long imprisonment. As she took her first tentative steps, Elowen became aware of figures moving at the edge of the clearing. They were cloaked and hooded, their faces hidden in shadow. These were the chanters, she realized, the ones who had broken her curse. One of the figures stepped forward and lowered its hood, revealing the face of an elderly woman with eyes as green as the deepest parts of the forest. "Welcome back, Elowen," the woman said, her voice gentle yet powerful. "We have waited a long time for this day." Elowen tried to speak, but her voice, unused for centuries, emerged as little more than a croak. The old woman smiled kindly and gestured for her to be silent. "There will be time for words later. For now, you must rest and regain your strength. The forest requires you once more." As the woman spoke, memories began to flood back to Elowen. She remembered who she was, a guardian of the forest, a protector of its secrets and magic. And she remembered why she had been cursed. A rival spirit, jealous of her power and connection to the land, had tricked her into a vulnerable position and cast the spell that had turned her to wood. But why had she been awakened now, after all this time? As if in answer to her unspoken question, a cold wind swept through the clearing, carrying the scent of decay and wrongness with it. Elowen shivered, recognizing the taint of dark magic. The old woman's face grew grave. "The one who cursed you has returned," she said. "He has grown powerful in your absence, corrupting the forest and all who dwell within it. We awakened you because you are the only one who can stop him." Elowen looked down at her hands, still unfamiliar after so long. Could she be the forest's savior? After centuries of stillness, did she even remember how to use her powers? As if in response to her doubts, she felt a surge of energy course through her body. The branches of her hair rustled and swayed, and for a moment, she could sense every tree, every plant, every living thing in the forest. They were all connected, all part of a greater whole, and she was the conduit through which their collective power flowed. Elowen squared her shoulders and nodded at the old woman. She may have been dormant for centuries, but the forest had not forgotten her. And she would not forget her duty. As the hooded figures led her deeper into the forest, Elowen felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. The world had changed much in her absence, and the challenges ahead were significant. But with every step, she felt more of her old strength returning. The golden light of her awakening had faded, but its warmth remained within her. Elowen, once a tree, now walked as a guardian once more. And though the path ahead was shrouded in shadow, she moved forward with determination, ready to face whatever darkness threatened her beloved forest. As she disappeared into the depths of the woods, the trees seemed to whisper in recognition. Elowen had returned and hoped for the forest's survival with her. The battle for the soul of the ancient woods was about to begin.